All right. Okay, let's continue. So, in the previous class, we were discussing about the different type of the hormones that are released from the anterior pituitary gland as well as the posterior pituitary gland. Okay. So, we understand variety of hormones. What are the major hormones we read in the anterior pituitary gland? We read the FSH hormone, we read the LH hormone, that is the luteinizing hormone. Correct, na? Yes. What is the function of the luteinizing hormone in the male? Male. So what is the function? It is the important hormone which is involved in the development of the secondary sexual characteristics in the male. The same hormone will influence the production of progesterone. Correct, na? So by that progesterone involved in the development of the sexual characteristics in the female. Correct, na? So that is what we read. Okay, all right, just I'll quickly recap and we will move on to it immediately. Okay, first I'll explain the extra topics, then we will come back to the normal. Okay, so we'll quickly recap. FSH and LH is under the control of which hormone? Gonadotropin releasing hormone, and which is controlled from hypothalamus. Which means if I want to control the FSH and LH, I can control from hypothalamus directly, or I can control it from the GnRH also. Correct, na? In case of a females, FSH is involved in the development of the ovarian follicular cells, which is responsible for the development of the estrogen. Later we'll read their functions. The same FSH in the male, it is involved in the production of sperm. Correct, na? Which is controlled by the hypothalamus. And we read about the LH. It is in case of a female involved in the process of ovulation. Once the egg got released from the ovary, what happens to the remaining part? It is converted into what? Corpus luteum. Very important. It is also mixed gland. Okay, we will read it in the upcoming slide. Now, progesterone secretion by the corpus luteum. This is the major hormone which is responsible for the secondary sexual characters in the female. And same hormone involved in the production of testosterone, development of secondary sexual characters in the male. So development of the secondary sexual characteristics we also called as libido. What is that? Libido. Okay. Especially in the male. Okay, not in the female. Okay. Now, after that, a very simple what I will explain you. The next one is what? Prolactin. What's the difference between oxytocin and prolactin? Oxytocin only responsible for ejection, whereas prolactin only responsible for secretion. Correct, na? So now you know very well, women cannot produce the milk all the time. Only during the time of parturition or the pregnancy. Correct, na? So which means that before the pregnancy, the prolactin hormone should be inhibited. Correct, na? Otherwise, so now how this prolactin can be inhibited before the pregnancy? See here, in females, prolactin is inhibited by dopamine. We will read in the nervous system, or the name of the hormone called as a PIH, prolactin inhibiting hormone, which is releasing from the hypothalamus and inhibit the action of prolactin. Now during the time of a pregnancy, the prolactin secretion has to increase, then only milk production occur, which means during the pregnancy the activity of the prolactin should be enhanced, which means which has to be suppressed? Or prolactin inhibiting hormone has to be suppressed. So there is during the time of a pregnancy, there is an important hormone is released, we called a PRH, prolactin hormone. So releasing hormone inhibit the inhibiting hormone, or dopamine. By the during the pregnancy, prolactin will be increased and milk production occur. Can you see the picture, friends? In order to show their action, see, this is the receptor of what? Prolactin. Then prolactin will come and attaches to the receptor. Then only it can show their mechanism of action. So what is the conclusion I want you to understand? No hormone never released in the body whenever there is no requirement. First point. No hormone cannot show their action without receptor. These two are the most common points to be remembered. Now, then the next very, very, very important hormone we have to focus is, one second. We understand it T3 and T4 very elaboratively, is it? So now all of you please look into this. See, this is the larynx and below that there is a thyroid gland. What we discussed, thyroid gland contain right lobe and left lobe separated by a isthmus, and thyroid gland contain a microscopic follicular cells. Correct na? These follicular cells only involved in the production of T3 and T4. Now I believe everyone remember the diseases, right? If there is a lower secretion of the T3 and T4 which leads to hypothyroidism. So what is the disease? Goitre. Correct na? Enlargement of the thyroid gland. If it is a hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease. Okay, anyway, we'll see it one more time. But now look into the point. Look into this point. In the thyroid gland, you can also observe, see here, there are 4 other glands. Correct na? Which we call as parathyroid glands. So all of you please understand who is going to secrete T3 and T4 follicular cells. Correct na? Let's consider, friends, this is a follicular cell. Let's consider this is also a follicular cell. Between the follicular cells we have a parafollicular cells. Between the follicular cells we have a parafollicular cells, and those parafollicular cells are involved in the production of calcitonin. Okay, always remember a common statement, friends. There are 2 hormones. One is calcitonin, and I'll explain in the upcoming slide. Then another one is parathyroid hormone. These 2 are involved in the regulation of a calcium metabolism. So calcitonin is coming from which gland? Thyroid gland only. But thyroid gland having a specialized cells named as parafollicular cells, which are located in between, whereas parathyroid hormone is released from parathyroid gland. Where the parathyroid gland is present, in the thyroid gland only we have 4 parathyroid. From there it is coming. But the point is here, both the parathyroid hormone and both are involved in the calcium metabolism. Correct na? One will be released when calcium level is lower. One will be released when the calcium level is higher. Now, no need to get confused. Understand the statements very correctly here. You only understand. It is very important in the body. We have to maintain the homeostasis of calcium. What is called homeostasis? Maintenance of internal environmental condition. Anything should not be higher, should not be lower, it has to maintain. Now an example, what is the major function of calcium in the body? Very, very good. Muscle contraction and blood clotting. If the blood wants to be clot, we require many clotting factors. 90% of the clotting factors strictly dependent on the calcium only. Not only that, it performs several physiological functions. So among those, to maintain all those, calcium has to maintain their internal concentration or internal level. So how we are going to maintain? See here, calcium level becomes more than the normal. Then immediately, friends, what is releasing? Calcitonin. Correct na? At that time there is no use of parathyroid hormone. Correct na? So parafollicular cells of the thyroid gland releases the calcitonin. Now what is the situation? Calcium is more than the normal, which means excess calcium I have to store somewhere. See, in the body, when more glucose, we are converting into glycogen and store it in the liver, muscle, brain. So similarly, we have more calcium. Obviously, we have to store somewhere. Where we are storing? We are depositing in the bones. Increasing calcium deposition in the bones. Correct na? But friends, still we have more calcium. Means whatever the excess calcium, some of the calcium I have stored in the bones. Bone storage also become full. But still so much calcium is there. So what should I do now? First of all, I have to stop the absorption of calcium. You're getting my point. So then we will decrease calcium uptake in the intestine, which means, friends, from the food we are not taking more calcium. Then calcium uptake will be decreased. And whatever the excess calcium that is present in the body, we are sending out via kidney. See, decreasing calcium reabsorption from urine, which means reabsorption is what? Reabsorption means we are not allowing in the form of a urine, we are bringing it back to the blood. That is called increasing reabsorption, but we are not increasing, we are which means excess calcium is releasing in the form of a urine. That's why sometimes urine become painful, especially in those patients, whenever calcium is moving in the form of a small crystals. Now, so now whatever the calcium that is higher, it becomes to the normal. No confusions at all. Now friends, let's try to understand what is happening now. Now the calcium level is below the normal. Then there is no requirement of calcitonin. Now this will be inactive. Now parathyroid gland is going to stimulate the release of parathyroid hormone. So in a simple words, whatever the functions performed by the calcitonin, just opposite will happen here. Here what is the condition? We have more calcium, so we stored it. Here we have less calcium. What should I do? I have to release it. Increasing the calcium release from bones. So whatever the calcium that got stored, it released out. But still I require more calcium. What should I do now? Very, very good. We have to increase calcium uptake from the intestine. And should I release the calcium in the form of urine? No. What should I do now? Increase the reabsorption until the calcium level comes to the normal. So can I use this statement? Calcitonin and parathyroid hormone both are antagonistic to each other.
Yes.
Correct na? So thyroid gland is releasing the calcitonin, parathyroid gland is releasing the parathyroid hormone. No point of confusing. So the next and very important one will be the adrenal gland. This is also so important, I want you to focus. Look into this. Adrenal gland, we use the word suprarenal gland. Renal is kidney. Supra, above. So which is located on the above of the kidney. So we have two kidneys. So we have two adrenal glands. Right adrenal gland and left adrenal gland. Correct na? Now if you observe the adrenal gland very clearly, it is having a outer region and it is also having inner region. The outer, see outer also called as a periphery. Correct na? Periphery means outer region or edges. The periphery region we call it as cortex. Okay. Whereas inner region we call it as the medulla. So you should not think that both cortex and medulla releases the same hormones. Cortex releases different hormones, medulla releases a different hormones. That is very important to be remembered. Now what I have done, please look into the picture one more time. This is the adrenal gland. This is the adrenal gland. I have taken the cross section. When I take the cross section, can you see that? It contains three different type of cells. On the top, we call it as zona glomerulosa, the top cells. The middle elongated cells, we call it as zona fasciculata. Okay. And the lower cells, we generally call it as zona reticularis. Okay. And what else we are having? Medulla. So outer region is the cortex, inner region is the medulla. So when I did the cortex cross section, these are the cells I will get it. Three type of cells. So friends, three type of cells are going to release three different type of hormones. Very important for the exam, and some tough questions will appear from here. Okay. And this time there is a possibility they can raise the question from here. In the last year they didn't ask. Zona glomerulosa produce what? Corticoid. Anyone remember the example of a mineralocorticoids? Aldosterone. We will discuss that, don't worry. Then zona fasciculata will release us glucocorticoids. Best examples are very good. Cortisone, cortisol, corticosterone. The major widely studied mineralocorticoid is cortisol, which is stress hormone, released during the stress condition, and zona reticularis, which are going to produce the weak androgens. Now we have to understand very briefly about the mechanism of glomerulosa and fasciculator. Very important, you have to remember. So let's start with the number 1. What is that? Glomerulosa, releasing what? Mineralocorticoids. So very important statement. Just now we discussed that the level of the calcium can be managed by calcitonin and parathyroid hormone. Similarly, sodium and potassium levels also has to be managed in the body. Sodium is very important, friends. See, what is the major source of energy in the body? Glucose. Correct now? Always remember my statement. In the body, if the glucose wants to be transported, always there is a requirement of sodium. You remember when we admit in the hospital, the first thing they'll do is they'll insert the saline, which contains sodium. Correct na? Which is very important for the supply of glucose. Glucose reaches to the brain, then brain controls and coordinates all the activities of the body. So which means sodium and potassium levels has to managed or has to maintain homeostasis. Sodium is one of the most important ion which adjusts the blood volume. If the blood volume is normal, blood pressure is normal. More the blood volume, more the blood pressure. More the blood pressure, there is a possibility it leads to heart attack. So maintenance of the sodium is very, very important. So when this particular mineralocorticoids are getting released, see here, whenever there is a deficiency of sodium, deficiency of potassium. Let's consider there is a condition called dehydration or diarrhea. Obviously what happened? No ions. Then there is no sodium, no potassium, which leads to increase in the blood pressure. Correct na? Which is called high BP. That time what happened? Mineralocorticoids are getting released. The major mineralocorticoid released in the body called as aldosterone. And the question which is asked multiple times, you read in the NCERT, the major pathway by which the aldosterone is functionally active, we called as RAA pathway. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone pathway. Now we have to understand, many times the question was asked from here also, tough questions. I want you to understand it very clearly. Okay, focus on the picture. Now what's the condition? I told you, right? No hormone released in the body whenever there is no requirement. Now what's the condition? There is a dehydration or sodium deficiency, or sometimes they'll give this kind of terms, or hemorrhage. What is that? Hemorrhage, which means internal bleeding. We don't know the bleeding is happening. Suppose forcefully when we hit the head during the time of accidents, internal bleeding occur, which we can't observe. Correct na? So that is called as hemorrhage. Even that time also there is a release of this particular aldosterone. So first listen. So dehydration or sodium deficiency or hemorrhage, first what happens, friends? There is a decrease in the blood volume. Upon decrease in the blood volume, there is a decrease in the blood pressure. Now all of you understand my statements very correctly. Whenever there is a decrease in the blood pressure, that signal reaches to the kidney and that signal reaches to the liver, both. Whenever there is a decrease in the blood pressure, juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney releases renin. Which cells? JGA cells, juxtaglomerular cells, will read in the excretory system, releases renin. At the same time, whenever there is a drastic drop down in the blood pressure, liver is going to release angiotensinogen. Now renin act on the tensinogen, convert into angiotensin 1. Now angiotensin 1 immediately act on the lungs, stimulate the lung. Lung release an enzyme ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme, which convert angiotensin 1 to 2. Why we have to convert? Because only 2 can act on the release of aldosterone, not 1. You're getting? So now what happened to this 2? It is acting on the zona glomerulosa cells of the adrenal cortex, which releases aldosterone. Now which levels are lower? Sodium levels are lower. Now what the aldosterone will do? It increases sodium reabsorption, water reabsorption. Now water and sodium never excreted in the form of urine, they come back to the blood. When they come back to the blood, blood volume here got decreased, it rises. When blood volume rises, blood pressure also increases. Increases in the sense until it comes to normal. If it increases, it becomes high BP. Because it is increasing because here it got decreased. So it is increasing until it becomes normal. So it's very simple. During the, so first question, if they ask a question in the exam, which of the following hormones majorly plays a key role in the regulation of the blood volume or blood pressure? You have to remember aldosterone. Blood volume and blood pressure. Not only that, the hormones which are involved in the maintenance or maintaining the level of sodium and potassium, that is also aldosterone. So during the dehydration or sodium deficiency or during the hemorrhage condition, immediately there is a drastic drop down in the blood volume which leads to the drop down of the blood pressure. So that signal sent to where? Liver and a kidney. So juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney. We will read. You remember what is juxtaglomerular apparatus? We'll read that. In the excretory system, releases renin and the liver releases angiotensinogen. Then renin convert angiotensinogen into 1. Then angiotensin 1 act on the lung. Lung releases ACE. ACE convert angiotensinogen 1 to the, tensin 1 to the 2. Angiotensin to act on the zona glomerular cells of the adrenal cortex, release aldosterone. Aldosterone increase the reabsorption of water and sodium, thereby increasing blood volume, increasing blood pressure, comes to the normal. That is what hormone? Aldosterone. The pathway is RAA pathway. Release it from which cells? Zona glomerulosa cells. There is no point of getting confused over there. Then the next type, what is this? Glucocorticoids. Which are produced by what cells? Zona fasciculata. Right. So again, zona fasciculata also releases what? Cortisol. There are many glucocorticoids are there, but most studied is cortisol. So example, cortisol, corticosterone, cortisone. So sometimes in the exam, if they didn't give this, they may give this. Okay, all are glucocorticoids only. Now tell me friends, what is the ultimate function of the cortisol? Everyone look into this line. It regulates metabolism and resistance to stress. What is the meaning of resistance to stress? Suppose today I am doing fasting. What happens in body in generally? Today whatever the stored glycogen is there, that is breaking down into glucose. Tomorrow also I am doing. That time we don't have glycogen. So lipids are getting breakdown. Correct? Or lactic acid will break down. Amino acids will break down. Those breakdown can be mediated by cortisol. So even though we are under stress conditions, glucose level will be maintained with the help of cortisol. Now all of you please look into this picture, don't get confused. Now the condition is I am in stress, deep stress. Then what happens? Hypothalamus gets stimulated. Hypothalamus contain what neurons? Specialized neurons called as neurosecretory cell or nuclein or nuclein. Then what it will do? The neurosecretory cells will become active. Correct na? Then it releases a hormone, don't get confused, we call CRH. What is that? CRH. Corticotropin releasing hormone. That travels via which system? Hypoportal facial system. Enter into which gland? Anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland is releasing? Very good. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. And that act on the adrenal cortex. Which cells of the adrenal cortex? Zona fasciculata. Then release the cortisol. Now cortisol, I'll tell you in the pancreas, cortisol plays a very key role in the process of gluconeogenesis. Genesis, synthesis or production. Glucose, new. What is the meaning of new? Other than carbohydrates. Correct na? Lipids are carbohydrates. Proteins? No. Amino acids? They are not carbohydrate. Lactic acid? They are not carbohydrate. We are producing the glucose other than the carbohydrates. That process is called as gluconeogenesis. Production of the glucose other than the carbohydrate. So during the prolonged fasting, we call harvesting. When we are doing the fasting more than 18 hours to 24 hours, we don't use the word fasting, we use the word harvesting. Because in the first 18 hours or first 12 hours only carbohydrates will break down, such as glycogen. After that, lipids will break down. Lipids are not carbohydrates, so that process only called as gluconeogenesis. Don't get confused, and it is easy to understand. So that is what adrenal cortex, zona glomerulosa, fasciculata, and third one is reticularis. That releases weak androgens. We will read in the testes and ovaries in the upcoming slide. The next part is medulla, where it is located in the middle. Again, there is a very important question they may rise in the upcoming exam. Which part of the adrenal gland connected to the parasympathetic nervous system? See, this is the cortex. Cortex is not at all connected to anything. So this is the medulla. Correct na? Only the medulla can be connected to this particular parasympathetic nervous system. Correct na? So they are called as parasympathetic neurons. So directly they are connected to where? Medulla. Now all the students remember what they are going to release is, they are going to release as epinephrine or norepinephrine. Correct na? Also called as adrenaline or noradrenaline. Don't confuse over there, okay? Epinephrine or adrenaline, norepinephrine or noradrenaline. See, we already discussed it now in the last time. What is the most important protein in the human body? Most important protein is collagen. Why collagen is more important? We use it the word abundant. Abundant means present everywhere. It is present in the tendons, ligaments, joints, bones, uterus, arteries, everywhere. Similarly, we read in the plant physiology, most abundant protein in the planet Earth, rubisco. Why? It is also abundant. Abundant means 40% of every leaf of every plant contains rubisco. So it is abundant, present everywhere. Most important hormone here is adrenaline, not because of the flight or fright action. The major reason, adrenaline is the major hormone which controls the blood flow to the organs. Means how much amount of the blood has to flow to the heart, lung, liver is controlled by adrenaline. Suppose example, a person is smoking the cigarette continuously. Cigarette contain tobacco, tobacco contain nicotine. Now nicotine enter into the blood, it increases the level of adrenaline. Then adrenaline increases the blood flow to the heart, which leads to heart attack. So this is the one which control how much amount of the blood has to flow to heart, liver, muscle and adipose tissue. Apart from that, it is also plays a key role in the flight fright action. Correct na? So now let's move to the NCERT level and we will read those also. We'll cover everything, okay? Questions won't go beyond this level. Make sure you read and remember everything perfectly. Okay, see, because in here we have very small information in the NCERT, but we have to read it, okay? So adrenal gland composed of two type of tissues, cortex and medulla. Cortex further divided into reticularis, fasciculata, glomerulosa. Glomerulosa synthesizes mineralocorticoid. Fasciculata, glucocorticoid. This is weak androgens. The adrenal cortex secretes many hormones called as corticoids. They are gluco and mineralocorticoids. So only very less information will be there. Okay. So glucocorticoid major example is cortisol. Apart from cortisol, cortisone, corticosterone. They are all glucocorticoids only. See, they stimulates what, friends? Gluconeogenesis. Production of glucose other than the carbohydrates. Correct na? Then lipolysis, breaking down of lipids. Proteolysis, breaking down of proteins. When it is happening? During the fasting or during the stress condition also you can say. Because today morning I started fasting. Within the span of 8 to 12 hours, glycogen breakdowns completely. Which means what sources are over, carbohydrates are over. Correct na? Then lipids, proteins, amino acid, lactic acid, they are all getting breakdown. That process only called gluconeogenesis. So these are all stimulated by cortisol. It inhibits cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. Means it won't allow excess usage of amino acids. Okay, how much amount of the amino acids are required for the growth and development, only that much can be utilized. So that amino acid utilization can be regulated by glucocorticoid, and it also maintains cardiovascular system and kidney functions. Very important, it stimulates. I never use the word it is involved in the production. Okay, I am using the word stimulates. RBC can be produced by we'll read it. Wonderful, very good. RBC can be produced by a growth factor named as erythropoietin. Red blood cell poietin production. Who will release this erythropoietin? Juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney releases. You're getting the point. So I have a kidney failure. Then what happened? This cannot be released. Then no RBC. If no RBC, no hemoglobin. No hemoglobin, no oxygen transport. Person will die. Correct na? So anyway, that we'll read in the other system. So remember, erythropoietin is the growth factor released by kidney. Erythropoietin function is what? Stimulate the production of RBC. The production of RBC called as erythropoiesis, which happens in the bone marrow. You are getting my point? But synthesized from kidney. So what I am using here, it stimulates the production of RBC, means it stimulates this process. It never synthesizes EPO. EPO synthesized from the kidney. And very important statement, it produces inflammatory reaction and suppress immune response. What is the meaning of this line? See, especially most of the glucocorticoids, don't get confused, most of the glucocorticoids can act as one of the drug choices in the anti-inflammation, or best example, take a autoimmune disease named as rheumatoid arthritis. What is rheumatoid arthritis? Joint pains, correct na? It is also an autoimmune disease. So when I use the word joint pain, nothing but what? Inflammation, swelling. You're getting the point. So that inflammation can be controlled by this particular glucocorticoid. Whichever is acting again is the inflammation called as anti-inflammatory drug. We take paracetamol, right? We take aceclofenac. It is the combination paracetamol plus aceclofenac. Next time whenever you are feeling heavy body pains, you might take it many times. Next time observe, there is a drug called aceclofenac. The category is what? Anti-inflammatory. Inflammation because I am getting pains because of inflammation. That can be reduced. That's why it is called anti-inflammation. Last time we read na, histamine can be suppressed by what drug? Antihistamine. Best example, levocetirizine, small tablet, because it is acting again is the histamine. Similarly, if any drug acting again is the inflammation, we called as anti-inflammatory drug. So those anti-inflammatory activities can also shown by glucocorticoid. So you cannot use the word that they are powerful anti-inflammatory drugs or anti-inflammatory substances. They just possess that kind of activity, that's all. You are getting the point. Next, again very important, if glucocorticoids like cortisol, if they are secreted lower, Addison's disease, very important. Hypersecretion, Cushing's syndrome. So you have to remember these two words the moment you heard the glucocorticoids. Lower secretion addition, higher secretion is Cushing syndrome, or a gyneco formation of a breast in the males, which is also caused by the excess release or production of estrogen in the males. Okay, anyway, remember that. Now what is the mineralocorticoid we read? Aldosterone. What is the function? Blood volume, blood pressure, sodium, potassium levels. Correct na? So aldosterone stimulates the reabsorption of sodium and water from renal tubule and excretion of potassium and H+. By that, blood volume and blood pressure can be maintained. So these are all not there in NCERT, you ought to remember. So what is the name of the pathway here? Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone pathway. And last and final one is what? Nothing but weak androgens. I told you, right? It is released from zona reticularis. They are the one responsible for axial hair, pubic hair and facial hair during the time of the puberty or during the maturation. Okay, so these are all about the adrenal cortex. Now adrenal medulla synthesizes adrenaline and noradrenaline. Correct na? What I told you, the common statement which you read in the inter, they secreted in response to any stress or emergency situation. See, in the emergency situation, what we will feel? If someone is coming, to hit me, someone is coming at a higher speed to hit me, what are the options I have? Either I can run or I can fight. There are only two options. So that emotions can be carried out by this particular adrenaline. So because of this reason, we never called it as the major hormone. We called it as the major hormone because of what? See here, they have written just a simple word, heart contraction and rate of respiration. Means it is also called as cardiac control. How much blood has to flow to the heart can be decided by this adrenaline. And it increases alertness. Correct na? When someone is coming to hit me, I will decide what to do. So that is called alertness. And pupillary dilation. You remember your 2025 question paper, the matching statement question came. Piloerection. This is one of the matching option. Okay. Rising of hairs. We generally call goosebumps. Okay. So that is when it will come. When we are under a panic situation or when we see something beautiful. Then this condition will occur, piloerection. That is stimulated by the hormone adrenal. Correct na? When we see something dangerous, obviously heartbeat will what? Increases. Because more blood is flowing to the heart. So those are all controlled by the adrenal. I want you to mandatorily remember all the functions performed. Okay. Then only you can answer. Okay. This also they have just given as one of the statement, that's all. So now what are the two diseases of the cortex? I mean to say corticoids, addition and Cushing syndrome. Same here. Hyposecretion, low blood pressure and slow working of heart and lungs. Hypersecretion, rise in the blood pressure, just opposite. Correct now friends, just now I told you, right? When a person is smoking the cigarette continuously, there is a release of nicotine. Nicotine increase the level of adrenaline. Then adrenaline increase the blood flow, which leads to rise in the blood pressure, rapid heart rate and breathing. If the level of the adrenaline is suppressed, correct na? So in simply it is going to control the entire blood pressure. Then the next very important one is the pancreas. So pancreas generally called as what gland? Mixed gland, or we use the word compound gland or composite gland. Compound, composite is same, which is a kind of mixed. Correct na? You read na biomolecules, simple lipids, compound lipids, derived lipids. What are derived? Combination of simple plus compound. So same. So pancreas is also composite gland which acts as both exocrine and endocrine. Suppose there is a question asked in the exam, since it is possessing both activities, which activity it shows more? Exocrine or endocrine? Exocrine. 99, I don't know where is the picture, I forgot. 99% of the pancreas made up of exocrine portion. Hardly 1% of the pancreas only endocrine portion. So this is the only portion which synthesizes hormones. Correct na? You remember, we will read in the digestive system, it's not there in the syllabus, pancreas release pancreatic enzymes. Correct na? So that pancreatic enzymes are released from exocrine portion. Hormones released from endocrine portion. So that endocrine portion of the pancreas which is involved in the production of the hormones called as islets of Langerhans. Okay, now very important, see this, there are about 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans in a normal human pancreas. So how much percent? 1 to 2, that's all. That 1% of the pancreas only contain 2 millions of these cells. Remaining 98 to 99% is what portion? Exocrine portion. So there are 3 types of cells, not the 2 types. One is alpha. Sometimes they use the word gamma, sometimes they use the word delta. Both are same. I mean to say, both make sense. Alpha releases, beta releases insulin, gamma or delta releases, you read it, somatostatin. Correct na? somatostatin. See, once again, remember my words. If something is not there in NCERT, doesn't mean that it won't come. Okay, it comes from application. You have to know it. Okay, so so if it is not there in the NCERT, it doesn't mean that the pancreas won't synthesize somatostatin, right? It synthesizes, right? We have to know it. So alpha glucagon, beta insulin, and this will be the somatostatin. In one word, somatostatin is the growth inhibitory hormone. It's not a growth stimulatory hormone. Now friends, don't confuse, it's very easy. First point, first statement, both insulin and glucagon are peptide hormones, which means protein derived hormones. We'll read in the RDNA technology, biotechnology. It is a peptide hormone, plays an important role in maintaining what level? Blood glucose. Insulin also, glucagon also. So see here, this is important for the exam, from where we will expect the questions in the exam. It is called hyperglycemic level. Sorry, glycemic hormone. So what it is doing, friends? Increasing blood glucose. Tell me when the blood glucose will increase. Suppose I am doing fasting now. Correct, na? Do you have any do you think I have any glucose levels in my body? No, right? I am doing fasting means I didn't eat food. Where is the glucose in my body? I don't have any glucose. But even though I don't have any glucose from morning to evening, I'll be active. What is happening there? Whatever the stored glycogen in the liver muscle is breaking down into glucose. So I am rising the level of glucose. That's why we call which high glycemic glucose, which is rising the level of the. So you tell me, will I rise the glucose level purposely all the time? No. When I will rise it? When the glucose level is lower. Don't confuse. When the glucose level is lower, then I will rise it. Then only my body will be functional. That's why we call it as hyperglycemia. Now you tell me, how can I break down? How can I rise it? By breaking down of glycogen. Correct now? So I am breaking down the glycogen. So process called it as glycogenolysis. What is that? Lysis, breakdown. We are breaking down the glycogen. Glycogen is what? Stored form of? Glucose. What is glycogen, man? Is it a monosaccharide or polysaccharide? Hey, I'll send. It is what? Don't forget. Of course, homo or heta. Why we are calling homo? Very good. What is that? Glucose. What is the other homopolysaccharide? Starch. Wonderful. And cellulose. Why? They are all made up of same monomer. That's why we call it homopolysaccharide. Obviously, glycogen is exclusively made up of glucose. That's what now when we break down the glycogen, we are getting glucose. When I convert the glucose into glycogen. Simple. So, since I am breaking down the glycogen, I call it as glycogenolysis. So, the question, where the glycogen stored? Liver. Breakdown also occurred in the liver. Correct, na? Now friends, when the glycogenolysis occur, when I am doing fasting, starting. Tomorrow also I am continuing the fasting. Is there any glycogen left out? No. What is left out? Lipids, proteins, lactic acid, amino acids. Very good. So that is called as gluconeogenesis. Production of the glucose other than the carbohydrates. And we are breaking down the lipids. Lipolysis. So lipolysis, gluconeogenesis, glycogenolysis stimulated by glucagon. You're getting my point. Ultimate goal of the glucagon is rising the level of the glucose since the glucose level is low. How it will rise it? Either by breaking down lipid or carbohydrate or proteins or amino acids. Correct, na? Since it is rising the level of the glucose, correct, na? Very easy to. And now you tell me everything is opposite. Everything is opposite. Insulin is also a peptide hormone. That is also responsible for maintaining the glucose level. Now very, very good. Now what is the question? Now see, we don't need to read anything. You have to understand. Glucagon is increasing the level of the glucose when the glucose level is low. Correct, na? Now what insulin will do? When glucose is high, it will decrease. Hence we called hypoglycemic hormone. Correct, na? Because it is reducing We should not use the word reducing the glucose level. We should use the word reducing excess glucose. Correct, na? It is reducing the excess glucose. Tell me what we are doing excess glucose? We are converting into? Glycogen. Very good. So, that process, can I use the word glycogenesis? Genesis, synthesis, glycogen. Now what is the glucagon is doing, friends? Glycogenolysis. Correct or not? It is breaking down the glycogen. It is making the glycogen. Synthesis. Correct na? So very good. It is synthesis. It is breaking down. So can I use the word? So I am already having abundant amount of glucose. See, I had a biryani. I get lot of glucose. But my body don't require that much of glucose. How much amount of the glucose is required for the cellular respiration? I'll use that much. Remaining, I'll store in the form of glycogen. Call it as glycogenesis. But I can't store entire glucose only in the form of glycogen. Some of the glucose I can store in the form of a lipids. So it is called lipogenesis. You're getting my point. Synthesis of lipids. What it will do? Breakdown, which is called lipolysis. We read the previous slide. So what this glucagon is doing, always rising. It is whatever the excess glucose there, it is converting into something else. Correct na? That's why insulin is said to be hypoglycemic hormone. Correct na? It stimulates lipogenesis. So it acts on the hepatocytes. Hepatocytes are liver cells. Adipocytes, adipose tissue, or adipocytes are those type of cells present in the adipose tissue which stores the lipid. So in the hepatocyte it stores the glycogen. In the adipocytes it stores the lipids from glucose, excess glucose. So as a result there is a rapid movement of glucose from blood to hepatocytes and adipocytes. By that excess glucose comes down. That's why you called as hypoglycemia. So now in my body insulin is not there. Then what happened? Glucose level becomes super higher, which leads to diabetes. Correct na? Don't confuse. So insulin is the hypoglycemic hormone, converts excess glucose into in the targeted cell. So you only answer this. Deficiency causes what? Diabetes mellitus. Correct na? Now in the diabetes mellitus, what is happening? See here, prolonged high glucose in the blood. Why? Insulin is not releasing. Then the glucose level become higher. Then the glucose level is extremely higher in the blood. Some of the glucose, excess glucose, excreted in the urine. And water loss will increase, which is called as dehydration. Correct na? Then what I have to do now? I have to give insulin injection or a tablet. Then insulin level will be controlled, then the glucose level will be controlled, rest of the body will be normal. Correct na? Do not get confused over there. So that is what? Pancreas. Then last and final, testis and ovary. Okay, we'll read little more elaboratively in the reproductive system in the human beings as well. So a pair of testes is present in where? Scrotal sacs. Okay, what is the speciality of the scrotal sac? Temperature maintenance. The testes always require at least 1 degree higher than the normal temperature of the body. That can be maintained by sac or pouch like structure. You're getting the point. Now, testes perform dual functions, primary sex organ as well as endocrine gland also. Correct na? We'll read in the reproductive system, but here you only focus in terms of hormones. This testis is composed of what tubules? Seminiferous tubules. Okay, always remember seminiferous tubules is the area where the sperm production occur. Okay, don't confuse with my statement. Let's consider this is the seminiferous tubule. Okay, don't confuse, I'll tell you in the reproductive system. This is the wall of the seminiferous tubule. This is the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. You are getting my point? So, sperm production starts on the wall, completed in the lumen. So, sperm always releases into the seminiferous tubule lumen. You are understanding? But production starts on the wall of the seminiferous tubule. This is composed of seminiferous tubule or interstitial tissue or stromal tissue. Okay, now Interstitial tissues, nothing but which are involved in the production of hormones. Seminiferous tubules, what is the process is happening? Genesis, synthesis or production of sperm. Where exactly? In the lumen. Starting in the membrane, coming into the lumen. Interstitial cells are also called as Leydig cell. We'll discuss elaboratively in the reproductive system. Secretes mainly testosterone. We already read na, testosterone is the major male sex hormone which is involved in the development of secondary sexual character. Correct na? In the male. Muscular growth, beard, low pitch of voice or sometimes high pitch of the voice. Correct na? Influence male sexual behavior, which is called libido. So in the matching question, just they use the word libido and opposite column they will ask the hormone. Okay, compulsory remember that. And very important one, see this, it stimulates anabolic effects, protein and carbohydrate metabolism. Now what is called catabolism and anabolism? Catabolism is what? Breaking down. See, when we eat a food, what we'll do? We break down the food. Why I am breaking the food? To get energy. What is energy? ATP. By using ATP, I'll perform variety of functions. Whatever the function I performed, we called as anabolic. So that anabolic functions can be stimulated by this particular testosterone or the androgens. Don't confuse. Similarly, in the female, we have a pair of ovaries which are located not outside of the abdomen, in the abdominal area only. We'll see in the reproductive system. Ovary is the primary female sex organ which produces one ovum during each menstrual cycle, right and left. Of course, it is acting as a sex organ. At the same time, it is also acting as an endocrine, which means it is involved in the synthesis of what hormone? See that? So they will give a simple question in the exam. The hormones released by the ovary uses what receptors? Intracellular receptor. Since they are steroid, means they are having cholesterol as their backbone. Cholesterol is a lipid, can cross the membrane easily. So two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. We already discussed now, estrogen is released by what follicles? Ovarian follicle. Stimulated by what hormone? FSH. Correct na? After releasing of the ovary, what happened? The remaining part can be converted into corpus luteum, that is going to secrete progesterone. Correct na? So look into the common statements. They stimulate the female reproductive tract to grow full size and become functional. And estrogen plays a key role in the oogenesis or production and differentiation of the ova, and also regulate female sexual behavior. When estrogen is one of the major hormone, we can say for the development of the breast. Some people will say that some people, because of excess production of estrogen, then it develops the breast, which is called gynecomastia. You know, this is true only the people who eat more soya chunks. Soya chunks having extreme quantity of this particular estrogen. You're getting? So it produces high amount of the estrogen. But some people ask a valid doubt. Some people will eat the soya chunk on daily basis, but there is no development of the breast in the males. Because if you eat the soya chunks in a particular quantity, it won't cause any harm. But if you eat more than the normal, more concentration of estrogen, it will go and stimulate all the receptors present in the human chest. Then it is developed into the breast. So it is always depending on how much concentration of hormone is increasing. We already read that hormones has to be released at a low concentration. If it is released high, automatically it causes the disadvantage. Okay. That is same. Okay. See. It also acts on the mammary gland, stimulate the formation of alveoli, sac-like structures in the mammary gland, which stores the milk and stimulates milk secretion. Secretion is release only. Okay, so don't confuse with my words. Production can be mediated by prolactin. Correct na? Production by prolactin. Secretion means release. It has to come out. If it has to come out first, it has to eject. Ejection can be done by oxygen. Secretion or releasing mediated by progesterone. Okay, don't confuse. Then the last and final, very important hormone. This is the only hormone released from the atrium of the heart. Heart having arteries, right? So atrium of the heart releases an important protein. Again, the question for the exam, most of the students simply neglect. Trust me, if they ask question like this, no one can answer. If they give 4 hormones and if they ask which hormone is amino acid, which hormone is peptide, which hormone is proteinaceous. So it's very difficult to answer. You have to remember. Correct na? Estrogen, progesterone, steroidal hormones. Insulin, glucagon, peptide hormones. Similarly, atrial natriuretic factor also peptide hormone. It is secreted by atrium of the heart. Now, simple function. ANF can causes dilation of the blood vessels to reduce blood pressure. You are getting the point. Suppose, example friends, there is some mistake happen here. Correct. Suppose example, whenever the excess amount of the blood is flowing, see in general what happens, suppose example, this is my skin. There is a small cut happen. Whenever the small cut happen, what happen immediately? Abundant amount of the blood will flow. Correct na? See, but our blood vessels, how they look like? This is how the blood vessel look like. Correct na? If the blood vessel is like this, abundant amount of the blood cannot flow. Correct na? But what it is doing, it is dilating the blood vessel. By that, abundant amount of the blood can easily flow. You are getting the point. That's why we can call ANF causes dilation of the blood vessels. By that, blood can freely flow. By that, there is a reduction in the blood pressure. Don't confuse over there. Its goal is dilating the blood vessel is always like this, constricted. It make it blood will flow normally. Correct na? Then the blood pressure comes to the normal. Sometimes they use a word, which of the following protein of the heart involved in the smooth muscle relaxation. Okay, that is also the ANF. Smooth muscle relaxation. Don't confuse. Okay. So, then the next hormone exclusively released from kidney, which is erythropoietin. Which cells of the kidney? Juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney, which is located in the Bowman's capsule. We'll read in the excretory system. Erythropoietin stimulates what process? Erythropoiesis. Correct na? Suppose if no erythropoietin, no RBC, no hemoglobin, no oxygen, which is a very dangerous condition. So if kidney got injured also, oxygen transport only never occurs. Correct na? And this is the only major hormone I am saying, produced by the kidney. Okay. So erythropoietin is responsible for the production of what? RBC. Correct na? Now we will discuss in the other chapter liver. Liver is involved in the releasing of thrombopoietin. Platelets. Poietin production, the hormone which is involved in the production of platelets, which is responsible for blood clotting. Now you imagine my liver is not functioning, there is no production of, suppose example, my liver is not working, small cut happened to me, blood will flow continuously. Why? Because liver abnormalities are there, no production of thrombopoietin, no blood clotting going. Correct na? Especially the people who are cancerous or who are diabetic, in their body the production of erythropoietin and production of thrombopoietin is very low. That's why diabetic people, even though they get a small injury, that injury cannot be recovered very fast. It takes a lot of time because of lack of this particular growth factors. Then I want you to remember all these as one-liners. Okay. These are the major hormones released from GI tract. You have to remember compulsory. Gastrin, secretin, CCK, GIP. Again, what is the important point? All are peptide or proteinaceous in nature, produced by endocrine glands of GIT. You have to remember gastrin, secretin and CCK and GIP. Gastrin, it stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsin. What is the function of HCl? Hydrochloric acid. Very, very good. It activates the pepsinogen. What is the function of pepsinogen? Protein breaking down enzyme. Pepsinogen is inactive form. It is converted into what? Pepsin. By the action of? HCl. By the protein breakdown occur. See, when we eat a food, only starch can break down in the saliva because saliva having amylase, salivary amylase. Anyway, protein digestion never happens in the saliva. Protein digestion starts, I am not using the word complete, starts in the stomach. Why? Because of HCl. That's why food stays a lot of time in the stomach. That time HCl stimulates the pepsinogen. Partial breakdown occur. Complete breakdown occur in the small intestine. Correct na? So gastrin stimulates the secretion of HCl and pepsinogen. Secretin stimulates the secretion of bicarbonate. You have to remember compulsory. Okay. Then CCK. It is also involved in the stimulation of secretion of pancreatic enzymes and bile. What are the two type of bile pigments? Bilirubin, biliverdin. Suppose example, in my blood there is a high concentration of biliverdin and bilirubin. What happens? It leads to jaundice. Correct? Now we call it something called jaundice. What is jaundice? Yellow pigmentation of the skin and mucous membrane. Correct? Now due to the excessive level of bilirubin and biliverdin, which are the bile pigments. So they will be released out from the bile by the cholecystokine. Then gastric, it inhibits the gastric secretion and motility. Now we missed one hormone which is not there in the NCERT, but the question was asked. Okay, you take the PPT and mandatorily read it. Okay, there is a hormone which are generally ovarian hormones. So, ovarian hormones are what? Estrogen and progesterone in the female, male testosterone. In the male and female, there are other different hormones. Especially in the female, there is a hormone called as relaxin. Okay, in the female, very good, very good. In the male, we have inhibin. So, and even in the female also, inhibin. See, the moment you heard the name of a inhibin, inhibin is majorly involved in the inhibition of FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Anyway, follicle stimulating hormone released in the female also as well as the male also. So when more inhibin, suppression of FSH. And what is the relaxin function? It increases. It increases. Correct. Correct. Whatever you said is right. It increases flexibility, okay, of pubic symphysis. Okay, I want you to remember this particular statement, okay, because they may give in the matching questions. Pubic symphysis means uterus will be contracted, right? That become more flexible by this particular hormone, relaxin. Or in simple words, it causes dilation of the uterine cervix during the time of the pregnancy. By that, easy labor delivery happens. Okay, relaxin is present in the female, inhibin are present in both male and female. Okay, no confusion. That ends the topic of chemical coordination. Now let's solve all the previous year questions. Okay, take your time, don't be hurry, always slowly think and answer the questions. They are asking what? See, I don't want your rapid answers. I want you to be calm and give me the answer. Read all. Not involved, they are asking. Why aldosterone?
It is involved in the reabsorption.
Very good. Tell me what is the answer? Why not cortisone? See, now you all get your doubt now. Sir, cortisone is not there in the NCERT. Correct, na? What is there in NCERT? Cortisol. Now you have to understand, okay, every time question never comes from there. Okay, you have to understand correctly. Okay, that is also same category, right? Glucocorticoids only. So anyway, we read, right? Glucocorticoid function is what we are continuously repeating this statement. Gluconeogenesis. So it is involved in the production of what? Glucose. So insulin, glucagon, cortisol. Correct, na? The answer will be?
Aldosterone.
You have to eliminate the options properly. See, this is the question. Slowly. See, what is the question? Not antagonistic. आराम से माँ, आराम से. B. Tell right or wrong, say it. Okay. See, let's understand insulin. We discuss in a completely opposite. Insulin is hypoglycemic, hyperglycemic. This converts glucose to glycose and glycose into glucose. I explained this clearly. Parathormone and calcitonin. Now, ANF is what, ma? Vasodilator. Correct, na? Which can dilate the blood vessel. Now, let's recap our concept, aldosterone. What is the function of aldosterone? Whenever reabsorption happens, what is happening? Blood volume is increasing. Blood pressure is also increasing. Correct, na? So, it is acting like a vasoconstrictor. You're getting my point. Which decrease the blood pressure. Okay. So, one is constrictor, one is dilator. Both are opposite. Antagonistic. Relaxin. Just now we discussed inhibin function is what? Suppressing FSH. But relaxin is responsible for uterine dilation. Oh, opposite, na? Correct, na? So they are not opposite. So answer is B. Okay. Slowly think it. Okay. We'll read, na? Hyposecretion is Goitre. Aram se. What is the best way of answering the question? Eliminating the wrong options. We read in the same lines. Hey, no need to think that much. What is the question? Name a peptide hormone which acts mainly on and adipocyte. And what is the line they have given? Enhances uptake and utilization. Now think it. What you are thinking? What is that? Right or wrong, say it something. Can I remove these two? Secretin and gastrin, these are two GITs, right? Yes. So I can eliminate those two. There are only two hormones. Why insulin? We all see, this much time I have explained it to all of you by writing. Glucose is higher. See, what is the line here? Glucose uptake. So someone is taking the glucose. So when the glucose is high, insulin will be released. Now the excess insulin stored in the hepatocytes, which is the liver, in the form of, and the same excess glucose converted into lipid in the form of in the adipocytes. Correct, na? What glucagon will do? Glucagon break it down. It never involved in the uptake. It is involved in breakdown. Correct, na? So do not confuse. Okay, understand that correctly. See, this is the first line I have explained it to all of you. Is that correct? Yes. Of course. You have to see other also. See it aram se. Okay. If you know the answer, you are just choosing it. Read other. It is provided with duct.
No. Yes.
Pituitary gland. Is it endocrine or exocrine? Endocrine only, right? No. Then it is provided with duct. No. That's all. What is the question? Is not true. It stores and releases hormones. Is it correct or wrong?
Hormones, when it is required, releases from the hormones.
Of course, that is right only, no? Then? Regulation of?
Hypothalamus. It is under neuron.
That is only hypothalamus, na? Hypothalamus contains neurosecretory cells.
Hormones are stored, but not.
So what is the answer?
D.
Ma'am, what is the question? Every one of you see this?
Sir, it stores.
Oh, what is the question? Not a true, ah?
Yes,
Ah, okay, correct. Right. The posterior no, one second, it is not a true, one second. Is not a true endocrine gland. True, absolutely true, okay? It only stores. The question says that, why it is not a true endocrine gland? Every endocrine gland speciality is what? It releases hormones, which means if it wants to release the hormones, it will synthesizes the hormones. Correct na? Let's take an anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland function is what? It synthesizes, then it releases. Correct na? But this gland never synthesizes. It only stores. Right. But this is also true, okay? It secretes enzymes. There's no doubt about it. There are certain enzymes that are secreted by the pituitary gland. Okay, it secretes. But the question is not about whether it is secreting enzymes or not. The question is whether it can act like an endocrine gland or not. You're getting the point correctly. Endocrine gland function is not about the enzymes. Its function is what? Hormones. It is all about hormones, not the enzyme. So the question is, can it act like an endocrine gland or not? And why it is not acting? That is the question. Okay. This is true statement, but it is irrelevant statement to the given question. Right. They used a word what? Temporary, which means what? Why it is temporary? Because only when the egg releases, that time only it is getting firm. That time only it is releasing. Simple. Oh, sorry. We read this. GnRH act on what? What gland?
First option.
It is act on what? Anterior pituitary gland. Stimulate the secretion of LH and FH. These two involved in the production of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. We read now this?
Yes, sir.
Epinephrine, which is amino acid derivative. So now please don't confuse with my words. Adrenaline is different and noradrenaline is different. Glucagon is different. See, remember my words. Glucagon and epinephrine shows the same action. What is the function of glucagon? Breaking down the glycogen into
Glucose.
where? In the liver. Same function performed by
Epinephrine.
in the muscle. Okay, in the muscle. So epinephrine and glucagon, can I say both are synergistic in nature? Correct na? Because both are same. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Look into it. Okay, first of all, what is osteoporosis? Okay, correct. Bones become brittle. Bones become weaker. Okay, if I spend great pressure on the bone, there is a possibility that a bone will break. Correct, na? So now you can eliminate options correctly. We know that one is parathyroid hormone and another one is what? Calcitonin. Correct, na? But they have not given any of these two in one option. Correct na? See, prolactin and parathyroid hormone, I can eliminate this because only this one is involved. And you can easily remove this prolactin because prolactin is only for milk production. Correct na? Then there are two hormones are there. Two sexual hormones and one, what is this one? What is this one? Aldosterone is what hormone? Mineralocorticoid. What is its function? Sodium reabsorption. Correct na? So aldosterone do not have any role with the bones. Like that you can eliminate here. Okay. So then you will get a doubt, sir, this is very correct. Then what is the role of estrogen? Correct na? Estrogen is what hormone? Sexual hormone. Correct na? Which plays a key role in anabolic functions. We read that statement, right? Anabolism is what? Building up. See, it's very simple, friends. People do exercises, right? Why the muscle build up occur? Why the muscle builds? See, you might observe now, when the person crosses years 30, the level of estrogen will be very lower. That's why the people above 30, 35, they can't build muscle in a greater way. So, of course, they will take estrogen in the form of injections or tablets as a drugs. But in general, if estrogen is more, the development of body will be normal. You're getting the point. Bone development, muscle development, hair development, everything is mediated by sexual hormones. Okay, which is estrogen. That's what, instead of using this word, they used the word anabolic function, which is building up functions. So, which is estrogen. Okay, and why you should not consider the calcitonin here? Because they have not asked very clearly about the calcium. Okay. Slowly. Oh, you haven't had lunch, right? Okay, finish. This you can remember, you can answer. Ma, option? B, yeah? B for ball. My insulin? Diabetes mellitus. And what else you know? Thyroxine is what? Thyroxine is Goitre, huh? Correct? Diabetes insipidus is also true. Okay, leave that. And what about the growth hormone? Growth hormone, that is clear. This is acromegaly. So we'll write like this. 1 will be 5. Then what is this growth hormone? 4 will be 4. Then next, corticoids. Corticoids is what disease? Addison's disease, right? So 3 will be 1. Correct na? Then what is left out? Thyroxine. Correct na? It should be Goitre, right? Then I think option is wrong. Did I type it wrong? Okay, because thyroxine nothing to do with the diabetes insipidus, no. So it is obviously the Goitre. Okay, that is true then. Okay, then two. I think options are not clear. Okay, I think typing mistake happened, but let me check this. Okay. Corticoids, growth hormone. Okay. We read now how steroid hormones will influence binding to the DNA because they uses intracellular receptor and show the action via secondary messengers. Okay. B. What is the meaning of that? See, presence of which of the following condition in urine are indicative of diabetes mellitus? See, ketonuria means what? Presence of ketone bodies. Ketone bodies. Glycosuria means? Very good. Presence of more glucose in urine, sometimes in the form of a small crystals. Okay. What are the examples of the ketone bodies? Ketone bodies are acetone. Acetyl-CoA is also type of a ketone body only. Okay, and acetoacetate. These are the type of ketone bodies. Okay, if they release excess in the urine, we call ketonuria. Okay, it's a condition or a disease. Okay, diseases I kept under last slide, you can see that. What is diuresis? Flow of urine. Ma, what is the hormone that plays a key role on the diuresis first of all? Antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Correct na? What is the answer? D. Correct na? No, ma, this is correct, D only. Which of the following would help in the prevention of the, of course, yes. Okay, this is correct. Because water should not be excreted out. Water has to be reabsorbed back. This is correct, absolutely correct. I think this fellow typed everything wrong. Next. Where is my phones? Correct, huh? Recheck once. My pituitary gland, what does it leads to? Thyroid gland, adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is what disease, ma? Adrenal gland will be the Edison disease. Then C should be 4. This is very correct. Correct, na? Then what is the Graves disease here? Thyroid gland B should be 1. Then pituitary gland, that is a pancreas. Pancreas should be diabetes mellitus, right? Pituitary gland, insipidus. Okay, then what should be the answer? Is it correct?
Yes.
A is 3, B is 1,
C 4,
D is 2. Correct, na? Okay. And I think this fellow typed it wrong. A is 1. No, obviously one is only should be correct, na? Pancreas will be diabetes, adrenal will be Edison, thyroid is grave, and pituitary is insipidus. Correct only, na? I can't select the correct option. Okay, all right, correct. Next. See, this is actually contradictory question. They have given the answer for this question. I mean to say they have given the grace marks. What is the answer you are thinking? What is the answer then? B. See, glucagon is associated with what?
Hyperglycemia.
Means it is going to increase the level of glucose in the blood. Which hormone is associated with this? Hypoglycemia. Which hormone is associated with hypoglycemia? Insulin. Correct, na? When the glucose level is higher, we are bringing it down. That's why that is a hypoglycemic hormone. So this is a false statement. Can I say glucagon is involved in the glycogenesis? Genolysis?
Yes.
Which is involved in the glycogenesis? Insulin. So A is false and R is true. So, but they have given the answer as 4. That time they have given the marks. Okay. These kind of questions, once we are very sure, we can choose it undoubtedly. What is the question? Erythropoietin. Alpha cells releases what? Alpha cells releases what? Glucagon. Beta cells, insulin. Gamma cells, somatostatin. Okay. The cells of, this is dorsal. Okay. This is wrong. Adenohypophysis. What is this adenohypophysis? Anterior pituitary gland. That is wrong. This is right. Cells of the bone marrow? Never. Because bone marrow, what is happening? The production of RBC. So, but erythropoietin enters into the bone marrow coming from the kidney. But they're asking not. B. Slowly. D. B for ball. Okay. Look into it properly, ma. Ma, what is the major function of parathyroid hormone? Is it releases a high or lower? See, low. See, this is the calcium. Correct na? Once the calcium level is more than the normal, what is releasing?
Calcitonin.
Lower than the normal? Parathyroid hormone. This and this will do exactly opposite function. Now look at it properly. What is the question? Not. Huh? Why? Okay. And increases calcium. No. Others? No, we have seen one diagram now.
Promotes calcium absorption from digestion.
Okay. First of all, parathyroid hormone is releasing in the body whenever there is a calcium level is lower. Okay. So level of the low level of the calcium undoubtedly stimulate the production of parathyroid. So it is obviously related to the parathyroid hormone. Correct or not? Decreasing of the calcium level only stimulates the parathyroid hormone. Now what I have to do now? I have to increase the absorption of calcium. Correct or not? I have to, whatever the food that I intake, that intake of food contain what? Calcium. Then my intestine will take it more. So obviously it increases absorption. Correct na? You have seen the picture, right? You only said na. One uptake can be increased, uptake can be decreased. When uptake can be decreased by when I already have lot of calcium, then I have to decrease the uptake. Now parathyroid hormone is released, then what I have to do it? We should absorb. Correct. Then promotes calcium absorption. Right. Increases from how I will get the calcium when I take the food, right? So carbohydrates, even proteins also. From there only I will get the calcium, right? Now why this statement is wrong? My increases the stimulates the bone reabsorption means what? Resorption means we are storing the calcium in the bone. We don't store, right? When there is a low level, we will release it out. We will release it out. Correct or not? Here low level means which is already stored, I am bringing it out. But here higher, I am storing it. But parathyroid hormone won't do this process. It will inhibit. Correct or not? It never allow the storage of the calcium in the bone. So this is the correct na? Slowly. So that's the reason you have to spend at least 1 minute on the question. See, reading, revising, everything is different. Question solving is a skill. You have to slowly understand and practice that. Oh, I think we missed one hormone. Anyway, that we'll discuss, and we have to discuss MSH as well. Quickly. They're asking not. Not they are saying. We read very clearly that thyroid hormone plays a key role in BMR. Correct na? And thyroid also plays a key role in the water and electrolyte balance. Just now I told you production of RBC mediated by kidney, but the process can be supported by thyroid. We read that same statement. Correct na? Normal rhythm. What is that normal rhythm? Who will maintain this particular normal rhythm? melanocyte stimulating hormone or the melanin. Correct na? So C will be absolutely correct. I mean to say not associated with thyroid hormone. See, thyroid hormone do not have an active role. I am using the word active role. What is the question? Please look into this. Which of the following are not under the control? Control in the sense what? That is only going to control the entire event. But what we discussed, RBC formation can be mediated by erythropoietin, and that is happening in the bone marrow, released from the kidney. So entire process under the control of bone marrow and kidney, not by the thyroid hormone. C and D. Of course, it plays a key role in the immune system. That is right. C and D. Nothing will happen. If you read one more time, it will become easy. Not steroid. Testosterone, progesterone, steroidal hormone. Cortisol. What is this cortisol? Mineralocorticoid. Cortisol, cortisone, corticosterone. They are also steroidal in nature. Okay. We read now that glucagon. Correct? Now it's a peptide hormone. See, these are diseases. Diseases, if you remember, you can answer. That is nothing rocket science over there.
Option 1. Option A. 1.
Option A, yeah?
1 is.
Okay. So, exophthalmic goiter means hypersecretion of the thyroxine and protrusion of the eyeballs. Correct, na? Acromegaly means increased growth hormone, right? Cushing syndrome is what? Moon phase. Correct, na? Cretinism is? Thyroid. Answer would be 1. Correct, na? Oh. You can answer easily. Just simply you can answer. See the interesting, they have given epinephrine also, glucagon also in the same. So you have to understand the questions very correctly. See, you have to understand when I use the word adrenaline or epinephrine and noradrenaline and norepinephrine. Correct, na? Here it is different, and when I consider with the glucagon, that is also a different. You are getting the statement. Now based on that you do it. Option 3. See, even though you don't know it, you can easily correlate, right? Okay. So glucagon, very good. Glucagon, hypoglycemia. Simple. Thyroxine, then only you can understand. Then what is that another option? So epinephrine comes what? Emergency. And what is the insulin? Blood sugar level. This is re-NEET because in some places only re-NEET conducted when technical problem occurred in the systems. Okay. This you have to read it. If you don't read it, you can't remember. Now, what is the question they asked? Wrong. So you have to choose first right. Choose what are right. Option A is right or wrong? Right. So can I eliminate 2, 1, 4? Leading cell produces? Is it right or wrong? Right. Correct, na? Next.
Wrong, sir.
It is secreted by the obviously wrong. Why it is wrong? It is produced by atrium of the heart. Then what is the conclusion?
Option 3.
Correct, na? Even though you know it, always look into the options. Okay. C is right. Sorry, C is wrong because atrium will release it. What is the question? Wrong only, right? Cholecystokinin produced by tract, and gastrin act on internal wall and helps in the production of pepsinogen. Very good. HCl is the one which is involved in the production of pepsinogen. Pepsinogen convert into pepsin, then they break down the protein. Okay, done. Then only one question are left, that is 2025. 2025 two questions were there now, that we'll see in the next class. Okay. So now first read the PPT. Second, read the manual. Third, read the NCERT. Okay. As a result, you can cover everything. Okay. Then solve the questions of the module. Okay.